Atlanta, Georgia is often called the city too busy to hate. But before it was the Black Mecca, it was a testing ground for a very specific and very controversial racial bargain. I'm Jay Packer, and welcome to The Backstory. Destination, Atlanta, Georgia. Atlanta, a city known today as the Black Mecca, home to more black millionaires per capita than almost anywhere else in the world. Tyler Perry Studios, along with a list of other notable African-American run businesses, all call this city home. But this prosperity didn't happen by accident. It began with a complicated bargain struck over a century ago in the dust of Piedmont Park. In 1895, the South wanted to prove it had moved past the Civil War. To do it, they needed the world's investment, and they needed the endorsement of a black man born into slavery. It was here that Booker T. Washington delivered the famous Atlanta Compromise. He told the white majority crowd that in all things purely social, we can be as separate as the fingers. He traded social rights for economic space. That economic space is where Atlanta's black millionaires were born. Men like Alonzo Herndon took Washington's bucket and filled it with gold. Because they were barred from white society, they built their own empire here on Auburn Avenue, anchored by Atlanta Life Insurance Company and a variety of other African-American owned enterprises. Sweet Auburn, as it was affectionately referred to, prospered in the shadow of the 1895 Exposition. It was here in 1895 at the Cotton States and International Exposition that the deal was struck. The goal was to demonstrate to the world that after the Civil War, that the South had something to offer. Historically, before it was a park, Piedmont Park was actually a 200-acre farm and driving club. But in 1895, this park was transformed into a white city of towers and lakes. As a historical fact, the city of Atlanta was originally hesitant to buy the land, fearing it was too far north of the city center. The 1895 Exposition was the catalyst that made Piedmont Park the heart of Atlanta. To receive federal funding, the Exposition organizers were forced by Congress to include a space for black achievement. Their answer was the Negro Building. Despite being marginalized, the community used this gilded cage to showcase hundreds of inventions, sculptures, and business success stories. It was a paradox, a platform that reinforced segregation while simultaneously proving black excellence. On September 18, 1895, Booker T. Washington stepped onto the main stage of the exhibition hall at Piedmont Park. He was the first African American ever invited to speak at a major Southern event of this scale. Washington's Atlanta Compromise urged black Southerners to cast down your buckets where you are, to focus on vocational training and economic self-reliance instead of social equality or voting rights. The white majority loved it. It was exactly what they wanted to hear, that black labor would be peaceful and separate. But for leaders like W.E.B. Du Bois, it was a dangerous surrender. The Exposition and Washington's speech helped cement Atlanta as the commercial hub of the New South, a term coined by segregationist and newspaperman Henry W. Grady. Ironically, the very segregation it reinforced led to the creation of a city within a city. Because black citizens were barred from white-owned businesses, they built their own. This fueled the rise of Sweet Auburn, once called the richest Negro street in the world. By the 1960s, Atlanta realized that racial violence was simply bad for business. The Compromise of 1895 evolved into a pragmatic relationship between white business leaders and the black community, giving rise to the slogan, "The city too busy to hate." Today, only fragments remain of the Exposition. Stone stairs and the man-made Lake Claramere. But for 100 days in 1895, This was the stage for a performance of racial hierarchy that contributed to the rise of Black excellence in the South. We walk on the history of a compromise. Every time we visit this park, a compromise that built the city. Keep watching for more mini documentaries just like this one that define the African American experience. I'm your host, Jay Packer, and I pray you have enjoyed this content. Please comment and subscribe to gain access to more interesting stories and ideas just like this one and receive up-to-date news and information affecting your interest. Until we meet again.